Hi, everyone. Thank you for still being here, either sober or not, but still conscious. Thanks. As Giacomo introduced me yesterday during the panel talk, I'm a medical doctor by my background. Still, I've been in this informational technology environment and crypto societies for a while now. But still, I have some biases that are left with me in my mind for like from the point that when I was a medical doctor. And my goal today is somehow to guide you through those biases and probably see whether they do resonate with yours or not. I want to start, yeah, it doesn't look good. I want to start with something probably more familiar to you, is the accusations that all the Bitcoin community and crypto community has been receiving so far. So at the moment, all of us probably faced these troubles when Bitcoin and crypto is called being a money over thin air, national security threat, money laundering facility, guns purchase Disneyland, and whatever. And I should say that probably this is not even the end, because to make it more ridiculous, I think that at some point it will be called Penguin's assassin working for global market because global warming, because you know, mining, heating, oceans boiling, everything like that. And of course, again, guns purchase Disneyland because no one buys guns ever using cash or like normal credit cards. And also, all of us are familiar with this dystopia by George Orwell, 1984, which says and describes a world where no information is open sourced, no code is open sourced. You can do nothing, you are always censored, you cannot even breathe without signing papers. And I got to thinking, well, one of my biases is that this must be not the only realm that there is. And I'm not going to talk about the second realm, which is a great book by Smuggler and XYZ. I really do advise you to read it. There's a second dystopia, very famous one, which describes the world where people are being born in artificial wombs. They are from being little children. They are sorted regarding their intelligence level and regarding the labor into different castes, and they are, well, cursed to live that way forever. This is a book by Aldous Huxley, which is called Brave New World. And if you think about it, I think you can see the parallels with the world that we've been living in. So these are several quotes from the book. For example, science is used only insofar as it is a tool for control. Those people that have some experience with science, especially if, like me as a medical doctor, I know that a lot of science there is financed by a lot of huge companies and huge corporations, not for the sake of finding some cure, but more for the sake of getting money more into the corporation. And you can read all the rest. But what is also very interesting here in this book is this part. This book also says about Soma, a so-called drug, basically, which allows you to never experience anything bad. Grief, pain, and from time to time, pleasure even. And as a lot of us here in the audience are libertarians of some sort, I would read this quote because this is a quote that very resonates with me, especially regarding the non-aggression principle that probably a lot of us have heard of. The world's stable now. People are happy. They get what they want and they never want what they can't get. They're well off, they're safe, they're never ill, they're not afraid of death, they're blissfully ignorant of passion and old age, they're plagued with no mothers and fathers, they've got no wives or children or lovers to feel strongly about. They're so conditioned that they practically can't help behaving as they ought to behave. And if anything should go wrong, there's Soma, which you can go and check out of the window in the name of liberty. Liberty. So, probably my main bias as a medical doctor living between the first and second realm is actually understanding that if for Orwellian dystopia we have Bitcoin as a solution and Monero and other technologies, for Huxley's dystopia, for my opinion, we might have AI technologies, like machine learning and others, that could help us to live in there. But in fact, the world that I imagine that I'm living in is something like this. One rock, another one possible solution, another, and that's tiny human being. This is why I strongly believe that if we have been facing all the regulations, trying to destroy everything, starting from eCash to Bitcoin, Monero, and other projects, I'm pretty sure that AI could be the next target. Well, actually, it is already. Because today, all the technologies that are complexly called AI help us in a lot of ways. They release our creativity, they help us save time, they help us save money, they help us reduce costs, and a lot of different things. But this is what happened today, and tomorrow we're going to have more benefits, like curing incurable diseases, cancer, the most popular one, extending our own intelligence and understanding why we are here, who we are, and answering all of other questions. And of course, finally, extending life beyond our biological body, which is the single point of failure, like the physical one that you can destroy in like 5 seconds. And hopefully, at some point, reaching the post-humanity era. As any technology is a weapon, AI technologies are also different kinds of weapons. And this is why every kind of government and any corporation, they are very tend to secure themselves and to regulate everything that they don't know or they want to take power of. This is why, basically, today we have GDPR, we have bans for autonomous weapon development, and tomorrow it can become even more ridiculous. For example, we can have taxations for AI businesses. If you're a researcher and you have a couple of neural networks running somewhere on your server, you will be forced to pay a tax to the government or to some other facility. Also, I think that you will not be able to do any do-it-yourself activities. For example, you will not be able to take the data set, like the data of your genes, of your grand ancestors, let me put it like this, and you will not be able to actually do any research and make anything useful out of that for your own purposes, because you will not own neither the data nor the facility. It might sound like a good fairy tale, but I have proofs, because don't trust, verify. This is the Beijing AI Principles development from this year. And the first claim is for AI to be good. So AI, whatever that is, should do good. And my favorite, enhance the well-being of society and ecology. Can you imagine the accusation of Bitcoin being unecological or doing harm to nature? Probably all of us know how ridiculous that sounds. Be diverse and inclusive. Where's my favorite part? The development of AI should reflect diversity and inclusiveness, especially to people who would otherwise be easily neglected or underrepresented in AI applications. I'm not sure whether people were sane while writing this, to be honest. This is the most important document there is in AI recommendations, AI development recommendations world. It's from the European Union, and it's ethic guidelines. This is how I've analyzed it. You can see a bunch of not very pleasant signs here, right? Don't fall for this. Let us dive deeper. So, for some reason, European Union thinks that AI, whatever that is, probably it's not going to dehumanize all of those technologies anyway, but somehow they think that a bunch of technologies should be trustworthy. Again, ringing some bells from trust in Bitcoin. And my favorite part here is that all of the people, like not only AI as a technology or technologies or objects should be trustworthy, but people who are building it should be also demonstrably worthy of trust. How can you imagine that? Another example, the trustworthy AI has 3 components which should be met through the system's entire life cycle, like from the idea to actual implementation and probably tokenizing and selling shitcoins. So at first it should be lawful, complying with all applicable laws and regulations. When I read this, I imagined Satoshi like sitting in a chair and thinking, how should I build Bitcoin so that it could be like very, very applicable with all laws and all regulations there is. Not working. It should be ethical, ensuring adherence to ethical principles and values, which of course don't change from time to time, which of course are pretty solid and not intangible at all. And of course, the trustworthy AI should be robust from technical and social perspectives. Because apparently AI systems can cause unintentional harm. The technology, not the people behind the technology, but technology itself. Second, AI systems do not operate in a lawless environment. Like, how dare they even think that they as a technology can operate somewhere where there is no laws. And this is not the whole list of laws that AI systems should keep in mind while, I don't know, being born. Especially the anti-discrimination directives are perfect for this, and consumer law, of course, for AI technologies. The second chapter of these guidelines says that systematically training should be provided to all the experts working in AI, and all of those trainings should be based on teaching them ethics, ethical behavior, ethical way of building AI technologies, and all of that. Of course, facilitating the traceability and auditability of everything that you do on AI, all data sets, every your breath, every your step should be traceable, because otherwise it could be illegal. And the chair here is that all of the stakeholders should be aware and trained in trustworthy AI. Therefore, if someone comes over to your house and you are working on some neural network, for example, they can say that, they can ask you, how can you prove that you are trustworthy? And if you cannot do that, or if you cannot satisfy them with their answer, you're screwed. The chapter 3 of the guidelines says about adopting a trustworthy AI assessment list when developing, deploying, and working with AI systems. And It seems to be pretty okay, but it's the first part. And the second part says that such an assessment list will never be exhaustive. Therefore, what is legal today will be illegal tomorrow, and you cannot run away with that. And this is how actually the document starts. These guidelines proceed on the assumptions that all legal rights and obligations that apply to the processes and activities involved in developing, deploying, and using AI systems remain mandatory and must be duly observed. Yeah, right, sure. So, how can we actually take two buzzwords, crossed, two technologies, a bunch of different technologies, and marry them and merge them and still stay sane? There are a couple of steps that we can make. The first is to actually build new tools that would enable us to provide censorship-resistant AI systems, agents, tools, instruments, whatever you call it. Nowadays, we're working on building the layer 3 on top of Bitcoin, so might be a good idea. Join us. Second step, use cryptography, the same cryptography that you use for Bitcoin and Monero and a bunch of other projects for increasing privacy. This is not the whole list of technologies that you might use or work on. Those are the same technologies that we've been working in crypto space for ages, probably, already. Going back, please do not fall for these scary government ethical fairy tales, and don't follow Elon Musk, please. And I would also advise you, probably, not being investment advice, to please do not judge AI, whatever that is, before it's even there. Because everything that people do can be described by a very simple thing, which is called the OODA loop. Something is there, something happens, or you do something, something changes, then you watch it, you observe it, then you decide what to do with that, you analyze it, and then you act on it. The decision-making process involves judgments. And judgments are always done based on your rational principles, moral and ethical principles, and all other stuff. Do not judge technologies. It's insane, and it doesn't work. And if you want, just follow the white rabbit. It has good eyes. Thanks.